What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 341 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, we have a few live recordings from the Knowledge Tree Consulting event that I attended this past week. Some really great topics were covered at this event, including thinking like a CEO and succession planning. Really great event that they put on, as always, that they have there. And while I was there, I brought my mobile podcast setup to make sure that I got some interviews in. So on today's episode, I just jumbled those interviews together. We have George Urvari himself from Knowledge Tree Consulting, asked him a handful of questions, and then followed up by UBL Group. I got to meet them while we're at the event, as well as Derek Lippert from Quiet Nature, who we've also had on the show for a full-length interview. Got to catch up with him at the event, and then we've finalized things off here with Peter, also from Knowledge Tree Consulting. Wide range of topics that we really get into here, so buckle up and let's get into today's episode once we thank our sponsors. Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. Patio SEO has hopped on board as a sponsor, and they are a leading marketing and brand building company in the hardscape industry. And if you don't know, this company is run by James Reed. We've had him on the podcast a couple of times, some of our more popular episodes, and he owns hardscape businesses across the country. And now you can have access to the same in-house marketing team that he has access to at patioseo.com. So if you're looking for a killer website, targeted ads, or data-driven strategies to grow, check them out at patioseo.com. And Knowledge Tree Consulting. George and Peter there are efficiency consultants in our industry, and I've had the privilege of having them both on one episode of the How to Hardscape podcast, and George multiple other times. And if you're looking for a software to dive into this winter, the How to Hardscape headquarters software can help you budget, estimate, job cost, time track, schedule. We have courses for interlocking concrete pavement, segmental retaining wall installation, and you can also create your own courses for training, onboarding purposes for employees. You can create tests. Your employees can get certificates of completion. We have chat groups for projects or company-wide chat groups. You can customize your chat groups. And we have many more features in the works. If you want to learn more, go to hthheadquarters.com. That's How to Hardscape, hthheadquarters.com, or click the link in the show notes if you sign up before 2026 and complete your onboarding within 30 days. It's a very easy thing to do. We'll give you 6 months free of our software. This will end on January 1st, 2026. So once again, go to that link, schedule a demo with me, or send me a message at How to Hardscape on Instagram if you want to learn more. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Joined here by George Urvari, Knowledge Tree Consulting. We're at your event, another great event, another lots of value that I'm getting from it, and I'm sure everyone here is. George, how you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm actually having the best time of my life.
George, a couple of things that I've heard you talk about so far. One is rolling budgets. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you mean by that and what the pros, cons are of this?
Sure. So if you're a large corporation, you have a controller and a bunch of bookkeepers, and you want to have a rolling budget where you update it constantly, fantastic. The question is, what do you actually derive? What value do you derive from that? And at the end of the day, at a macro level, it's more about meeting your ratios. So what's my revenue going to be per month? Am I hitting that target? What is my overhead ratio? As long as I'm hitting my overhead ratio, I don't have to worry about the micro numbers. They mean nothing. What's my COGS ratio? The material is pretty straightforward. It's pretty hard to screw up unless you do a bad estimate. And what I'm really interested in, the labor. And so I only have so much time as a small business. I'm going to start splitting hairs to figure out what my job costs are, when really, if I'm on time on those projects and I do decent takeoffs, I'm set and I'm hitting my sales goal monthly. That's it. Really that simple. So people overproduce, one of the 10 types of waste, and they don't have the time to do it, and they think it's urgent and important. Really, it's important. It's not urgent.
Yeah. George, getting into the types of waste here and becoming more and more efficient. One question I have had for you for a while now is getting into production rates and getting so efficient where your production rates become kind of out of date. At what point do you kind of stop updating your production rates, if that's the way that you're estimating, where you're becoming more and more efficient? And do you just continue to update your production rates to match that efficiency, or do you stop at some point?
Well, it goes the other way too. So I'll give you an example. There's a company called THM Interlocking, and they used to install about 1,800 square feet of interlock every day. Okay, so there's a production rate. Boom. And that would be lay the screenings, lay the brick, sand, cut, and temp. Okay, and clean up and go. Every day, 1,800 square feet. Some days would be a little more, some days would be a little less. Now, these were all 25 to 30-year-old men. Fast forward 20 years later, it's like 800 square feet a day. So your production rates might go the other way based on the age of your workforce, right? And so you haven't been around long enough to see that. And then the other question is, are all crews equal? So these guys, they would have what are called graders, and the guys could see any bump or deflection in the grading by eye. Right now, you can see it in asphalt with a puddle. Can you see it on back then it was screenings? Probably not. These guys could see it. That's how good their eyesight was, right? So their grading was super fast, no pipes, away we go. Their production rates are going to blow the doors off everybody else, right? And they would pick up the skids, scoop in with their it wasn't Gel, it was case loaders, scoop in from the side, and then drop the skids off where they were working. It was unbelievable to watch them work, and I learned from these guys, and I became wicked at laying interlock as well. Try doing that for 20 years, bent over. No, it's not going to work. And then you get machines, and then you try and bid jobs with only the machines because the people don't want to do the work by the hand anymore. Nobody wants to bend over and lay bricks anymore, so that's why we're going to larger pavers, all these things. So the truth of the matter is you're going to have an average production rate. And if all your crews are the same, fantastic. Probably not the case. If you can schedule which crew's doing which job, congratulations. So at some point, you've got to figure out an average and build in some buffer for being wrong. And really, at the end of the day, it's not just your production rate, because it also is how well you sell the job. So you can be a little slower, and you're a better salesperson, and you get a higher price for being slower. There's a lot to it.
So going off that, at what point is it too much to be like, I've got a production rate for the spring, I've got a production rate for the summer, I've got a production rate for the winter, because that's going to take you longer to do. Spring, mud, maybe going to take you longer to do. Yep. Or do you just take an average and you know what? You're going to be average throughout the season.
We average it. It's way too hard to, let's say you bid the job and it ends up being rainy all summer. Well, you use the wrong production rate. So I would say you average it out, and I would probably do a 2 or 3 year average, which gives you, it's like amortizing costs, you're amortizing risk, and you can beat yourself, you can beat others. At the end of the day, you just have to be a bit better than your competition, and it's not about having a world record every time. It's about winning that race that day.
Gotcha. Talking about beating the competition, you've talked with tons of companies, tons of different contractors, even just at this event. And with your consulting, are there any unique things that you see people doing where you're like, wow, that's really interesting? Whether it's marketing or branding or building a business or efficiencies that are unique, tools, equipment, anything that unique comes to mind that you have learned along the way from companies?
Yeah, so I asked the question, what comes first, product, sales, or marketing? The truth of the matter is if you have an amazing product and you can sell with authenticity, you don't need to market. And so you'll see companies that grow organically, they just do a great job. And so they don't have to work very hard at getting work. The work comes to them. So there's a concept called pull or push. Am I pushing the work? Well, you might need marketing to do that. How much money you're spending, what's your return on investment? How much energy are you committing to that effort, or just do an incredible job and get networked, and you can grow like that. And so that's how we started knocking on doors. There was no Google ad, there was nothing. We just old school, and old school still works, believe it or not. I would argue that some people are lazy and they think marketing is going to save them. I look at a lot of budgets where people so overspend on marketing and the effort isn't there, or they get too many leads and they can't even follow up on them, and they think it's a silver bullet. Well, Elon Musk, he makes great cars. He doesn't spend any money on marketing, and the product sells itself. So I'm a big believer in that approach. Be the best. Figure out how to be the best and hire the best people, best processes, best clients. Just try and be the best. It is a race. Not everybody can grow at the same time, or we'd all go out of business. The pie's not big enough.
Definitely. George, thanks so much for putting on another awesome event, all the value you bring. Where can our audience find more about you?
So George at ktc.biz, George at ktc.biz.
George, thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike. You're awesome.
All right, guys. I am joined here by
Umberto
and Gianmarco.
And the company name?
UBL Group.
And where are you guys located?
Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys specifically do design, build, or other services?
Yes, so we do a little bit of both, design, build, and in the winter, instead of doing snow removal, we actually primarily focus on interior painting to kind of keep the lights on for the guys. So
amazing. Yeah. And how long have you guys been in business?
We've been in business for 8 years. It's been a lot of learning over the 8 years. We started while we were in university and then graduated, and we're like, you know what? I don't want to be a teacher. My brother didn't want to do anything with life science. So we just kind of continued with the landscape construction and, learn every day.
Amazing. So you guys both went to school, got degrees, and then decided to get into hardscaping.
That's right.
Yeah?
Exactly it.
That's exactly what happened to me too. You said you didn't want to become a teacher. Did you get your teaching degree?
I did.
I did too.
You have your Bachelor of Education?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wild. Where did you go?
I went to Laurier, and then I went to Brock.
I went to Brock for the Con Ed program.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Didn't want to become a teacher after that.
That's hilarious.
That's so funny. So business, 8 years you said?
Yeah.
And we're at a KTC event, Knowledge Tree Consulting, and you guys rent out of George's yard.
That's correct.
Yeah. And how did that come about?
So after I graduated from Brock, I went to Humber for about a year to do their landscape design program. It was during COVID, so it was a lot online, and George came and did a talk for one of our classes. And I just kept peppering him with questions, and he invited myself to his office at Oriole, and we had a conversation. He met my brothers, and he started giving us advice, pro bono, which was fantastic. I was shocked how nice he was, because you hear other trades that they're not helping other people, especially young guys. And he gave us that opportunity. He gave us an ear. We rented some yard space, and then we purchased a session from him, and we started purchasing. We bought a truck from him. He suggested that we buy a Yanmar 2-ton excavator and a power wheelbarrow, and we did. We bought it new. It's terrifying, but it's the best decision we ever made.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Everybody that I talk to says that they've bought a truck or something off of George.
He's a good salesman.
Yeah,
he is.
So, guys, how has the season been? How was the year? We're at the end of the year. How did things go for you? I've talked to contractors that have had the best year of their business, but more so contractors that have had a little bit more of a struggling year. Where do you guys kind of fall on that spectrum?
So I honestly think we had a really good year this year.
Yeah.
In comparison to the last year, we've grown. In the last 8 years, we've grown year over year, which is good. And I think that's just a credit to hiring the correct guys, getting the correct materials, machinery on site to make everything more efficient. So, yeah.
And the more important thing is we were more profitable.
Good.
So I think revenue is like vanity. Profit is sanity, and cash is king, right? So the more cash you keep on hand, the better, right? So watching your costs, that's a big thing George kept, entrenching on us. Not that we never did that in the past, but we were very careful on what we purchased, and that's been like a critical thing for us in our growth and trusting. This is the first year that my brother and I kind of have gotten off the tools a little bit more, which is like so nice because I can focus on a higher level as opposed to just being in the trenches. That being said, we're still going to site, making sure everybody's doing things that are like supposed to happen, and having trust in the guys that you work with is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't emphasize that more. Letting go of the reins is really important.
Something that I still struggle with, but that's really cool that you guys are doing that. Now, you guys are brothers. You have a third brother. How does that dynamic work for you guys? How have you made it work personality-wise, and have you kind of discussed roles and responsibilities in the business where you're not stepping on each other's toes?
So it's very interesting because we had that meeting with George, obviously, and we had to kind of give ourselves a little company analysis and kind of divvy up our roles. And it was one of the harder things to do because we all wanted to do a specific thing at the same time. But after, a couple of days of reflection, maybe a couple of weeks of reflection at some points, it kind of allowed us to stay in our own lane, essentially. So I'm pretty good at numbers. So I kind of gravitated towards that estimating and financial role in the company. Yep. My brother's very organized. He's very on top of things, Umberto. So he's kind of focused on the operation side of the business. And our younger brother is a mixture of both of us. So it's kind of good that we got three of us. So there's a voting system, essentially. So he's kind of the deciding vote usually, or we have a 2 versus 1 voting system on key decisions. So
right.
Another aspect too is I tend to be the issue with going and doing other things. Yeah. So I'll jump in, do work for Johnny, right? And whereas I'll do my work and then I'll go try to go do some of his work or do some of Steph's work, right? And the hardest thing for me was to stay in my lane, but because I know how they work, I trust them.
Yep.
And it's not like university where just you're doing a group project and you just do everything, because that's kind of how I did it in university. I just did it because I'm I don't trust other people. But with my brothers, you have to trust them. Otherwise, why am I in business with them? Mm-hmm. So let them do the work and make sure I get my work done on time.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's probably good that you guys are brothers because you give that inherent trust, as George was talking about, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
100%.
Nice. Yeah. What about this event? What are some takeaways that you guys got out of it, that you're starting to get the wheels turning? And then how do you kind of talk about that amongst the three of you to see what's the next steps from something like this event?
So I think that this event, it's a reiteration of what George has hammered into us. Mm. So coming and hearing it, and then actually talking to people who have the same problems as we do. This is one of the first, I'd say, real landscaping events that we've been to where you talk. For me, the benefit is talking to other contractors and hearing you're not alone, right? And the financial aspect, we're getting pretty good at it. Obviously, you can always improve. The culture, we've really, really improved on that aspect. So that's George really hammers that home. But for me, the real benefit is talking to other contractors and just hearing their struggles too. And, you get nuggets of information from everybody, and that you always want to be learning. You don't know everything, right? You always can take something from somebody, right?
So then looking forward to 2026, the winter now, usually people have a little bit more time to get to working on something or get the gears turning for next year. What's the plan for next year? What are the goals for next year? Have you guys started to talk about that?
Usually, so it's kind of a busy season. So obviously, as you know, as it's on, we kind of just go, and they're focused on that year, finishing up everything. Normally in January, we kind of try to figure out, okay, what's our next steps. But I would say we're focused, especially on the winter months. We're trying to expand our business into interior stuff to kind of keep the lights on throughout the whole entire year. And we want to expand that.
And more, sorry to interrupt, but more importantly, I want to keep my guys busy.
Yeah.
I think that's critical for me because they are so important to our business, and I don't want them to be just surviving on EI. Right. I want them to be working. So having growing that arm, that interior renovations arm, I think is going to be critical for us. Some people have advised not to do it because it's you're getting out of your realm, but I think there are a lot of transferable skills that you can take. So we were talking about off air, wet lay is very similar to tiling. Yep. It's very, very transferable. So
definitely. So in terms of getting into that? Is that a matter of like training your employees, or like you said, is it very transferable where you just have to kind of let them do their thing, maybe show them how to do it the initial time and they're kind of set? Or do you guys have a process of how this is going to go?
We've been super lucky because the guys that we've hired
Yeah.
have started on interior.
Amazing.
So we actually have to teach them the outside and then the inside came like it's there, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's why I know it's transferable, because he was doing tiling before, and
That's
now
perfect.
we did a 5,000 square foot wet lay.
Yep.
And it turned out beautiful.
Amazing.
So.
Amazing. Guys, I'm excited to follow along with what you guys are doing. And hopefully we can get you back on the podcast for like a full-length interview. Maybe even get the third brother in.
That'd be awesome.
Especially sometime next year and see how things are going, see if you guys are hitting your goals and so on like that.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Awesome.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thanks a lot.
Where can our audience go find out more about you guys? Where do you want to send them to?
On Instagram at UBL Group.
Beautiful.
Or our website, www.ublgroups.ca.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks
Thanks
a
a
lot,
lot.
Mike.
We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. It's crucial to review your financial statements on a monthly basis so you can diagnose areas for improving your business's financial health early before they become significant issues. Too many contractors wait until the end of the year to review their financials as they file taxes, when it's often too late to take action to change the outcome. Cycle CPA not only handles bookkeeping and taxes, but they also ensure that you're armed with financial data on a monthly basis to make key business decisions. They offer benchmarking, cash flow forecasting, and assistance in developing targets for financial metrics. With their team of accountants specialized in the hardscape and landscape industry, they currently work with hundreds of companies in this field. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. We want to take a break from today's episode to talk about marketing. Are you looking to take your hardscape business to the next level? Well, this is brought to you by Patio SEO, the leading marketing and brand building company in the hardscape industry. And if you don't know, this company is run by James Reed, who owns multiple hardscape businesses across the country. And here's the kicker. You're not just getting access to any team. You're getting access to the very team that helped grow James's own companies, plus hundreds of others in the industry. Whether you need a killer website, targeted ads, or data-driven strategies to grow, Patio SEO has got you covered. They've been in your shoes and know exactly what works. We've had James Reed on the podcast a couple of times, and they're some of our more popular episodes, talking about branding, talking about how he's built companies across the country. And with that, he needs lots of leads, which means he's had to perfect his branding and marketing. And now you can have access to that same in-house team that he has access to for his own hardscape company. So if you're ready to build your brand and see some serious growth, check them out at patioseo.com. That's patioseo.com, or follow James on Instagram at Road to 100Ms. That's Road to 100MS. Let's get your business the attention it deserves. Now back to the episode. Okay, joined here for a round two, a very short round two, with Derek from Quiet Nature. Derek, how you been?
Good. And yourself?
I've been good, and we're here at the Knowledge Tree Consulting event. And Derek, how has your season been? What have things been looking like for Quiet Nature?
Yeah, we've been hopping. It like a lot of people in the industry, I think it's been a different kind of season. It started off, we seemed like we were slammed, and then some contracts delayed and slow, and we seem to be really chasing and having to work a lot harder for sales this year than I think we have in many years. So It's kept us really hustling in the office just to try to stay ahead of the crews, getting jobs sold and then ready for them. So
I've talked to contractors very similar to you, similar size as well, where they had to retrain their staff, their sales team, hey, we need to really hustle here. We need to go back to basics. Did you experience the same thing, or was it a kick in the butt to your sales team to be like, hey guys, we need to buckle down here?
Yeah, definitely. Retraining, and even for myself. So I probably spent, a good couple months just consuming sales material, podcasts, books, everything, because for me, sales has always just been pretty natural and organic and not really sales. It's just you get a call, you go answer and this. And now it seemed like to get people across the finish line to sign the contract, it seemed to take some different tactics. So then I would be bringing those back into our sales meetings, which were more like lead and design meetings, and then be teaching and sharing like some tips and tricks for, actual sales tactics, which I'd never really had to think about before.
Yeah. That's interesting. Is there any like takeaways in terms of that process and dealing with your sales team and keeping them accountable that helped you learn and implement new things? Or was it like you guys were doing this before, it just got really easy for a few years and you kind of let it go? Were you just trying to go back to the basics? Or are there new things that you're implementing now?
Some new things. For us, sales has never been a thing where we're out hustling or having to hound people. It's been more you respond to calls and you go and be a human and you find out what they need and you assign a price to it. And if they like you and they like it, then you do the job. Yeah. And I think it still comes down to that. So it's still a lot about the media that's out there that draws them to you. And what I did find, because we started tracking things a lot more with our CRM to know when the lead came through, and we definitely got more jumpy on our speed to lead. So I wanted responses within 24 hours to any hot leads that came in, right? And then we'd know pretty quick, and then we'd track how many times we followed up with someone. And every week we'd go through every single lead with our sales team and go through each lead and see where they're at in the stage, how many times they've been followed up. Right. Because you always hear you need 7 touch points, 7 follow-ups before it makes a sale. And I'm like, okay, we better pursue that a little bit. But then what I found, and we all found, is the ones that you had to follow up with 3 times, 4 times, whatever it is, they never turned to anything. It's the ones who respond quick and they actually are receptive to your message and what you're saying. Those are all the ones that turned into work. Right. So we started having all these 3rd follow-up, 4th follow-up, and then we'd put them down to an archive. Yeah. And it's like, well, if it even gets to 3rd, the odds that they're going to be someone who wants to work with us isn't even there. So I don't know if other people have a similar experience, but that's what we found.
Yeah, very interesting. And then do you see a correlation to those clients that were quick to respond in terms of where they found you? Sort of like word of mouth clients are more so quicker to respond versus like somebody that maybe found you on Google or something like that?
Yeah. Word of mouth or more organic for sure. I think we did okay on some of the Google ads. That it just takes so much of your money. Yeah. I think it was just one where what we have and our offering and our portfolio really spoke to. Those are the ones who responded quick because they pre-decided they want to work with you before they even fill out your form or phone you. Nice. So anyone that is even quasi tire kicking, it's like, well, they're tire kicking. It's going to be very hard whether you follow up 5 times or 20. Yeah. So.
It just goes to show how much of the effort in the sales is actually before they even reach out to you, right?
Right. People are so educated now.
Yeah.
Like they know what they want. Yeah. How many people buy a car now by going around shopping dealership to dealership? You probably decided on what car you want before there might as well be a button on the wall and you just press it, right?
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. We are at the Knowledge Tree Consulting event, full day event. Are there any like takeaways that you're thinking about taking back to your team and implementing, or just like things that kind of got your mind moving a bit?
Yeah, I had my notebook out, and I was I'm forever a student, so you don't just listen to it; you got to write it down. So. A couple little points. I'll just make a couple little ones. The one I wrote down twice, and this one here is even in big bold letters, is your goal should be to make your customers be delighted. And just George kept going back to that, and I had to write that down. I'm going to bring that one back to the office on Wednesday. And then the other one, you know your business depends on you having good processes and systems and having people in your business as your all your seats, but particularly your key seats that you can trust them. And then the one line from George here is if you trust the systems you built and you trust your people, then all is good.
Right.
It's like, yeah, all is good.
So with your takeaways from 2025, looking forward to 2026, any like major changes, small tweaks, anything that you're looking forward to in 2026?
Oh, nothing too major. We just keep sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
Just keep refining, trying to get better. Operationally, behind the scenes in the office, we just always try to get better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Derek, I appreciate your time. I do want to get you on for a long form interview once again. I got lots of questions in my notebook back at home from our initial interview, so lots to go off of there. That is Quiet Nature 1999 on Instagram. Derek, is there anything else that you want to send our audience to or to learn more about
That's it. We're on Facebook, Instagram, our website. I'm on LinkedIn, dropping all kinds of stuff on there, so probably best. Some things on there that aren't really on our Facebook. They're more business related, so... Yeah.
And that's Derek Lippert on,
that's right, yeah. Just on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Lippert, if I'm correct.
That's right, yep.
Beautiful. Derek, thanks so much.
Okay, man. Thanks much.
All right. I am joined by Peter of Oriole Landscaping Knowledge Tree Consulting. Peter, thank you so much for joining me here.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here.
I haven't had you back on the podcast since you first were on with George. It's been a bit.
Yeah.
You're always welcome for a full-length episode. I tell you that.
Okay.
Just let me know.
It's good. Well, I've been saving up all my stories, so let's do it.
That's perfect. I do have a question for you. At the Knowledge Tree Consulting event that we just had here, you did mention that you do like a lot of coaching more so for Oriole Landscaping employees, even though like George and you pretty much hands off at this point, correct?
Yeah. So George has now devoted his full time to consulting and helping other companies. My role at Oriole is still to be available for the staff there. I still answer questions. I still coach my staff when they got a challenging client. I still have old clients that call the office. They like to know that I'm still connected to the company. They like hearing from me and reassuring them that they're in good hands with my staff, and just making sure that the connections are made between industry partners, old clients, our staff, and our staff within each other to make sure that everything's running smoothly. We have some great systems, but we need encouragement to keep everybody on track.
So then my question to you is, with that coaching, how do you know like which employee needs it? Do you spread it around evenly? Because like what I hear is like, A players don't necessarily need the coaching. The C players need the coaching, and they typically get the most attention. But really, like the A players are the people you should be giving your attention to. That's kind of the things that I hear. Is what's your thought process on this?
Well, yeah, of course. You think of any sport. The best athletes have the best coaches, and it's the same with what we do in a company where the leader in the company, their main job is to make it easier for the staff to do their job, help them, give them the tools they need, any opportunities that they might need. That's my primary job, and for my A players, they need as much coaching as anyone else. But coaching for me is making sure that their questions are voiced. So tell me, if you're having any trouble with a client, tell me if you're having any trouble solving a problem, tell me if you're having any issues with any other staff or sub-trades. That's all I need to know. I need to know. It's an opportunity to share those struggles, any blockers that are preventing you from doing your job. And my job is to make sure those blockers are removed. And usually it's a word of advice. Sometimes it's making a phone call to get them in touch with the right people that can solve the problem. But it's I'm aware of what's going on a daily basis, but I'm not the one who has to manage the crews. I don't have to manage the staff in the office, but I'm available for the staff.
And then when it comes to coaching, is it more so just like listening, asking questions, and letting them come to the conclusion so it makes it seem more so like it's them solving the problem? Or is this something that you step in from time to time and you say, in the past, this has worked for me, do it this way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be prescriptive, but I mean, there are some situations that have been solved in the past, and I do want to let my staff know what worked for us in the past. That doesn't mean it'll work in this particular situation even. I mean, it's even just a different time. Like something that worked 20 years ago might not work now, even if it's the exact same situation. We do have different materials, we have different processes, so it's not that straightforward. I do want them to know what options are available.
Gotcha.
But I'm hoping that I can give them a pathway to come to those conclusions themselves. They say, well, this is what we did last time this happened. This is what we did last time that happened. And we can see how one of those might apply in this situation.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I mean, when needed, I can just tell them what the answer is. If there's somebody's on the phone and they need an answer, I can give them an answer. But hopefully I can train my staff by asking for their suggestions,
Right.
to think about how to make it work, to come to those correct conclusions themselves, and then I can validate that process and I can approve that decision, and they gain confidence in making the suggestion, and I gain confidence that they can do it on their own.
Gotcha. And then what about things that get to you that you're like, this isn't a me problem, or this isn't like something you should bring to me? Does that come up from time to time, or do you guys have like, these are the people that you contact before it even gets to me sort of thing, to prevent that?
Yeah. So again, if they've come to me with a problem that somebody else can solve, I will connect them with that person.
Gotcha.
I want them to learn that decision process so that they can go to that person themselves next time.
Right.
I do have staff that come to me with problems that shouldn't be problems, or they come to me with problems that have been solved before and they're repeating the same mistakes. That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, some people it takes longer, and some people just have an inability, to connect the dots.
Gotcha.
We have had to let people go.
Yeah.
We give them the benefit of the doubt until we doubt the benefit, right? And that is that happens. I mean, we did let somebody go this year reluctantly.
Gotcha.
We gave them every opportunity, but if they're repeating mistakes, then, and we've given them every opportunity and every connection to solve those problems or to avoid those mistakes, then if it's not working, it's not working. So not everybody can be coached to success, but I find it's the most rewarding pathway, because the light bulb goes off when you're coaching somebody who comes in with very low confidence, maybe selling to high-end clients.
Yeah.
And you can develop that skill and that confidence, and then you see them one day, they're just doing it on their own, and it's very satisfying to see that.
Peter, I've got many questions about identifying businesses that you would purchase, things like along those lines that I know that you're very heavily involved in, but perhaps we'll save that for a long-form interview in the future.
Yeah.
Where can our audience go find out more about you, Peter? Knowledge Tree Consulting, where do you want to send them to?
Yeah, we have our website, which is ktc.biz, and my email is peter@ktc.biz. And I'd love to hear about what's happening out there. I'd love to hear what your situation is, successes, troubles, and we love helping, and occasionally that means that we can also get clients from that service. But we do a lot of work where we're just having open conversations. We'll talk, we'll share some of our ideas, and hopefully we can build a relationship from there. We can build some trust, and we can have a long-term relationship. Yep.
Perfect. Peter, thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoy other episodes, if you're listening to the How to Hardscape podcast for the first time, I thank you so much. And if you wouldn't mind giving us a rating, review, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to this podcast, and sharing it with anybody that you think would find this helpful as well. That really helps us and really helps us get more great guests on the podcast. But first and foremost, thank you so much for listening to the How to Hardscape podcast. Also, supporting our sponsors is another way that you can support the podcast. So before we let you go, we want to say thank you to those sponsors. Cycle CPA, if you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. PatioSEO.com. And now you know Patio SEO can take your hardscape business to the next level. James Reed and his expert team have built a reputation on success, not just for their own companies, but for hundreds of others just like yours. So don't wait. Visit PatioSEO.com to learn more and get started. But also be sure to follow James's journey on Instagram at Road to 100 M's. That's Road to 100 MS for behind the scenes tips and insights. And I do recommend checking that out and following along to that. Ready to build your brand? Patio SEO is here to help you every step of the way. And Knowledge Tree Consulting. George and Peter there are efficiency consultants in our industry, and I've had the privilege of having them both on one episode of the How to Hardscape podcast, and George multiple other times. Always great episodes, and I also got to sit down on a one-on-one with George and went through what they do for businesses, and I left that meeting with a lot of value, so I can't recommend them enough. If you want to learn more about what they do, go to knowledgetreeconsulting.com and get that conversation started with them today. And we look forward to meeting you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.